Hi, I'm Ernie and I am the Motorcycle Safety Program Manager for MDOT MVA's Highway Safety Office.
And my name is Rick Sullivan. I'm a retired sergeant from the Department of Maryland State Police, and throughout my career I spent most of that time within the motorcycle unit. One thing to remember, Ernie, is that we're getting into the season now, and the skills involved for safely operating your motorcycle, some would consider those to be perishable skills. Example being, use it or lose it, and that's what happens. So within this sport, there's a couple different little acronyms that we try to utilize so that the riders will refresh their memories of what they need to look for and what they need to check on their bikes.
So one of those is TClocks. It's an acronym and it stands for tires, controls, lights, oil, chassis, and stands. And it's just a check that you should do on your bike every time you ride it to make sure it's safe to ride.
And if I remember correctly, the other one is ATGATS, which refers to all the gear, all the time.
That's the truth, and we're going to talk about that, but I wanted to ask you first, when you do your TClocks, what do you check first?
Well, personally, Ernie, I like to start with the tires first. I make sure there's at least a minimum of 1/32 of tread depth on the tire. I look to make sure there are no scrapes, cuts, cupping, or bubbles on the tire. I check to be sure they are properly inflated. I also check my spokes and or the rims, depending on what bike I may be riding, that nothing's cracked or that nothing's bent. Then I will sit on the bike, put it in neutral, and try to check to be sure that both the front and rear brakes are working properly, the levers and the brake pedal are not hanging up, and there's no stiction of any problems at all. Like to check the controls next to be sure that your clutch and front brake are working. Twisting the throttle in the proper fashion and let it go, it should snap back to the idle position. That would be a good time also to check the mirrors, as they may have gotten bumped or moved since you last rode the bike.
Rick, next comes the lights and the electric, and I think I can help you with this one. So I'll look at the front and the back of Rick's bike to be sure his brake lights and turn signals are working. And I also want to make sure his headlight's working.
We can then check the oil and other related fluids like your master cylinders for your brakes, your master cylinder if it's applicable for the clutch, but most importantly now, because of the different motorcycles being generated in society, some bikes, particularly these new electric models, may not have some of the stuff that you would have to check on a regular standard style motorcycle. So it's important for the owner-operator to know and understand their bike.
So then comes the chassis. We got to make sure nothing's bent or cracked, make sure the handlebars move freely, and that the shocks are doing their job. If you put some weight on the front or rear shocks and they bottom out, something's wrong. You might want to get it checked out. And finally, the last S stands for stands. Be sure your side stand or center stand is working the way it should. If it's not, it won't affect your ride, but you don't want to be stuck somewhere without a stand that works properly. So now that we know the bikes are safe, did we miss anything?
I don't think so.
Cool, let's go ride.
Whoa, wait a minute, Ernie. But there's another acronym, and it's up to you to explain it.
You're right, man, I forgot. It's ATGAT, all the gear, all the time. You got to dress a certain way if you're going to ride a motorcycle, and we'll tell you a little bit about that. So if you're going to ride a motorcycle, ATGAT is really important, all the gear, all the time. You have to dress a certain way to safely ride a motorcycle. You should have hard leather boots over the ankle to protect your feet and your ankles. You should be wearing long pants, jeans. Some folks will even buy Kevlar jeans, which are resistant to tearing. The next big thing is some type of a jacket. Now, a lot of times you'll see us wear leather if it's cold, because leather will certainly protect you. But during the summer, they make jackets that are a little bit lighter weight that will actually keep you cool when you ride. So that's kind of a benefit too. The next thing would be gloves. You got to put gloves on to protect your hands. You should have them with you every ride and wear them all the time, even during the summer when it's hot. And then lastly, there's the helmet. You got to buy a DOT approved helmet. There's lots of different helmets. They look different. They're different colors, all kind of stuff. But the proper helmet is the one that fits you and fits your head, and the one that you're going to wear properly all the time, every time you ride. And the last thing is, if you can find a way to be seen, that helps too. Reflective material on your helmet or on your jacket certainly helps other drivers see you when you're on your motorcycle.
Ernie, how about eye protection?
Good point. So if your motorcycle doesn't have a windscreen, and neither of ours do, you have to wear eye protection. It's the law in Maryland. Is that about right?
But you want the eyes protected. And always remember, the law does stipulate that tinted eyewear is okay for the daytime, but clear is mandatory at night.
Absolutely. There's one more thing to remember. In Maryland, you have to have an M endorsement on your license. That's the motorcycle endorsement. So you have to have gone through some training or taken the test at your local MVA to get a motorcycle license. You also have to have insurance for your motorcycle. It's illegal to ride a motorcycle in Maryland without a license and without insurance. So make sure you get that. If you need more information, you can go to mva.maryland.gov.
And Ernie, just as you addressed, most importantly for the riders out there, there's more training available. Again, you can research that material online or stopping into the community colleges or outside programs that may have training available, but it takes you to show the initiative to move forward.
Now I think it's time to go for a ride.
I do agree. Let's go.
All right.